What you see, touch, and believe to be real is just one version of your life. And right now, countless others are unfolding in parallel, waiting for you to step into them. That sentence isn't poetic exaggeration. It's the quiet truth, humming beneath the surface of everything you've ever known. From the moment you woke up today, you stepped into a particular thread of reality. You may think it's the only one, that the coffee you poured, the route you took to work, the conversations you had are fixed moments in a single timeline. But what if that's only a fraction of the truth? What if in this very moment, there are versions of you who made entirely different choices and are living entirely different outcomes? Science has been whispering this for decades, and spirituality has been singing it for millennia. Your life is not confined to one straight line. Reality is layered. It's multidimensional, and you, without realizing it, have been navigating these layers every single day. Think of it like this. You're in a vast library. Each book represents a different version of your life. Each page a moment. Each chapter a sequence of events. Right now you're reading one book, but in the shelves surrounding you are countless others. Equally real, equally detailed, playing out their own versions of your story. Most people never look up from their current page. They believe this book is all there is. But you're about to see the library. You've already felt it. Those moments when time seems to stutter, when life delivers you something too aligned, too strange, too coincidental to be chance. Maybe you've had a conversation that felt eerily familiar, a déjà vu so strong it left you breathless. Or perhaps you've thought about someone after years apart, only to have them call you minutes later. These aren't just quirks of the mind. They're signs, glimpses of the truth that you're walking among countless possible realities, brushing against the edges of others as you go. Here's the part that both excites and unsettles. You've been choosing your version of reality every day without knowing it. Not with grand dramatic gestures, but with subtle, consistent acts. Your thoughts, your emotions, your focus. These are the invisible coordinates by which you navigate the ocean of possibilities. The world has taught you to see reality as a fixed thing, like a photograph, frozen in place. But in truth, it's more like a film reel. Every frame exists. Every potential shot of your life is already developed. You're just projecting one at a time onto the screen of your awareness. And the projector? That's your mind. That's your consciousness. That's you. What if today isn't fixed, but fluid? What if you could choose a different version before the day ends? That power isn't reserved for the lucky, the gifted, or the enlightened. It's the default setting of the universe, and you've been carrying it with you since the moment you were born. This isn't just wishful thinking dressed in spiritual language. The deepest layers of physics are beginning to agree. Quantum discoveries are revealing a world where particles can be in more than one state at once, where the act of observing changes what is seen, and where entanglement links things across vast distances, instantly, as if space and time are just illusions. These aren't just abstract phenomena happening in far-off labs. They're the foundation of the reality you're living in right now. And here's where it gets personal. If the fundamental building blocks of matter can exist in multiple states simultaneously, why not you? Why not your life? Why not your future? In a way, you've already felt the truth of this, even before you had the words for it. Every time you've dreamed of a life you haven't lived yet, every time you've felt a pull toward a path you haven't taken, every time you've looked back and wondered, what if you've been touching the edges of those other realities? This moment, right now, is one of infinite crossroads. The version of you watching this is not the only version. Somewhere, another you is learning a different lesson, walking a different road, meeting a different version of the people you know. And while that may sound like science fiction, in the language of quantum physics and consciousness, it's simply how reality works. You are not a passive passenger on a single track. You are the navigator of an infinite sea. The waters shift with your attention, your choices, your state of being, and the more you awaken to that truth, the more deliberately you can steer. So take a breath, feel the weight and the wonder of this moment. Recognize that the life you're experiencing now is not the only one available to you. You are standing on a threshold that stretches in every direction, a web of realities all waiting for you to choose. Because the truth hiding beneath your everyday life is this: you are already far more than you've been told. And once you see the quantum threads weaving through your existence, you'll never be able to see yourself or your life the same way again. To understand how this is possible, we need to uncover the quantum revelation that changes everything. For most of human history, we've believed reality to be a solid, immovable stage, a single objective arena where life happens to us. We've been taught that what we see is what is, and that the laws of nature operate like clockwork, ticking predictably and impersonally, indifferent to our presence. But over the past century, a discovery has been quietly rewriting that story, not just in philosophy, but in the very heart of science. Quantum physics, the study of the smallest building blocks of existence, has revealed a truth so disruptive that even the scientists who discovered it struggled to believe it. They found that reality is not fixed, not singular, not out there waiting to be discovered. Instead, it's fluid, probabilistic, and intimately connected to the mind observing it. This is the quantum revelation. The universe exists not as a single predetermined path, but as a vast field of possibilities, all of which are equally real until they are observed or chosen. At the subatomic level, particles, the tiny units that make up everything you see, touch, and are, do not exist as solid, stable things. Instead, they exist as waves of probability, holding within them countless potential outcomes. This is known as superposition, a particle existing in multiple states simultaneously. It's as if the universe itself refuses to commit to a single reality until an act of measurement or observation forces it to decide. Imagine standing in a hallway lined with countless doors. Behind each door is a different scene, a different version of this moment. In the quantum world, all those doors are open at once. Only when you walk through one does it become your reality. And here's the astonishing part. In the quantum model, you are not just the traveler in the hallway. You are also the one deciding which door solidifies. This was more than a quirky laboratory finding. It was a fracture in the foundation of how we thought reality worked. For centuries, classical physics described a deterministic universe. If you knew the starting conditions and the laws governing them, you could predict the future with absolute certainty. But quantum experiments told another story, that the universe doesn't deal in certainty until it must, and that consciousness, the act of observing, plays a role in shaping the outcome. When the double-slit experiment was first performed, scientists expected to see tiny particles behaving like miniature bullets. Instead, they behaved like waves, until someone looked. The moment observation entered the equation, the pattern changed. This wasn't just an oddity, it was a clear sign that the act of observing wasn't passive, it was active. It influenced the reality that emerged. This is the paradigm shift. Reality is not a single track moving forward, but a living field that responds to awareness. Before observation, it's fluid, undefined, and filled with potential. After observation, it becomes the solid now you experience. And this process doesn't just happen in a lab. It's happening all around you, every moment of your life. Here's where it gets deeply personal. If the smallest building blocks of matter respond to observation, then your awareness, the way you focus, the meaning you assign, the attention you give, may be doing more than simply noticing reality. It may be shaping it. Think about the implications. Every belief you hold, every expectation you carry, every mental image you replay, isn't just a private thought trapped in your mind. It's an act of observation in the quantum sense, a way of selecting from the field of possibilities and calling one version of reality into being. The scientific language may feel abstract, but the spiritual truth it aligns with is as old as humanity. You are not separate from the universe. You are participating in its creation. It's tempting to think of this as metaphor, but the physics doesn't treat it as metaphor. The wave function, the mathematical description of a quantum system, contains every possible state the system could be in. Observation collapses that wave function into a single state. In other words, what was many becomes one. Possibility becomes actuality. Now imagine this, on the scale of your entire life. Every path you could walk already exists in potential. Every choice you could make is already a thread in the fabric of reality. The question isn't whether those other paths exist. It's whether you will choose consciously which one to step into. And here's the part the old worldview couldn't give you. You're not locked into the path you've been walking, because the field of possibilities is always present. You can shift the trajectory of your life at any moment. This is not wishful thinking. It's the natural conclusion of a universe built on probabilities, not certainties. If you've ever felt trapped by your past, consider this. In a deterministic universe, your past would dictate your future, like a machine. But in a quantum universe, the future is open, and the only thing that determines which path solidifies is where you place your awareness and intention now. This is why the quantum revelation changes everything. It means that change isn't bound by the slow grind of cause and effect. It can be instantaneous. It can be profound. It can be as subtle as a shift in focus, or as dramatic as a life-altering decision. The field of reality doesn't judge which is worthy of manifesting. It simply responds to the coordinates you set through your observation, emotion, and belief. Of course, this doesn't mean you can snap your fingers and rearrange the entire physical universe without effort or alignment. Even in quantum physics, probabilities are weighted. Certain outcomes are more likely than others based on the energy, the frequency you sustain. In spiritual language, this is alignment. In scientific language, it's coherence. But in both, the principle is the same. The more consistent your focus, the more probable the outcome you desire becomes. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, if all realities exist, which one have you been unconsciously living in? Is it the reality shaped by fear, doubt, and habit? Or is it the reality shaped by clarity, trust, and vision? Because whether you've been aware of it or not, you've been participating in this quantum process since your first breath. The difference now is that you can choose to do it with awareness. And when you do, life stops feeling like something that happens to you. It becomes something you are in active dialogue with. A co-creation between your consciousness and the field of infinite possibility. This isn't a concept to admire from a distance. It's a truth to live by. Because the moment you accept that the field is real, that you are part of it, and that your awareness shapes it, you can begin to rewrite the script of your life from the inside out. This is where the mystery deepens. Because these multiple realities aren't somewhere else. They're here now. Right now, as you hear these words, you're living in one version of your life. But this isn't the only version. At this very moment, countless parallel realities are unfolding, each containing a different you, making different choices, experiencing different outcomes. These aren't abstract fantasies or poetic metaphors. They're as real as the life you're in now. Each one running alongside yours like unseen rivers, flowing in directions you can choose to enter. To understand this, you have to release the idea that reality is a single solid object. It's not a brick wall you slam into. It's more like a vast, layered ocean, with currents moving in every direction at once. You're riding one current now, but all around you other currents are flowing. You can't see them with your physical eyes, but they are there, and the truth is, you've felt them before. Think of a time you made a small decision that completely changed your life. A choice that seemed insignificant in the moment, but led you down an entirely new path. Maybe you took a job you almost declined. Maybe you spoke to someone you almost ignored. Maybe you stayed home one night when you planned to go out, and it led to meeting the person who changed everything. Those moments weren't random. They were points where your awareness shifted from one version of reality to another. Here's a simple way to picture it. Imagine you're holding a radio. All the stations already exist. They're all broadcasting right now. But you can only hear the one you've tuned into. When you change the frequency, the old one doesn't vanish. You just stop perceiving it. Similarly, all possible versions of your life are broadcasting at once. Your focus is the dial. Wherever you set it, that's the version of reality you experience. This is where science and spirituality meet. In quantum physics, particles exist in a state of probability until observed. In spiritual traditions, we are taught that infinite possibilities exist in the unseen, waiting for the mind and heart to call them into being. Different languages, same truth. The field of reality is already complete. Your role is to decide which part of it you will step into. The mind loves to think in terms of time, past, present, future. But in the deeper layers of reality, time is not a straight line. All moments exist in what physicists call the block universe model, meaning that the past, present, and future all coexist in a vast cosmic structure. From this perspective, parallel realities aren't somewhere far away. They are here now, occupying the same space, separated only by frequency, the frequency of your thoughts, emotions, and energy. Consider your own life as a branching tree. Every decision is a split in the trunk, sending branches in different directions. One branch might represent you taking a certain opportunity. Another might represent you walking away from it. Another might represent a reality where you never encountered that opportunity at all. These branches don't cancel each other out. They grow alongside each other, each carrying a version of you forward. You are aware of one branch now, but all the others are still there, and you can learn to shift between them. You've had glimpses of this without realizing it. Déjà vu is one example. That eerie sense of familiarity may be you brushing up against a memory from a parallel version of yourself. Sudden, unexplained shifts in emotion or perspective can be another. The sensation that you've stepped into a slightly different atmosphere without moving an inch. These moments are tiny fractures in the illusion of a single solid reality. They are hints that your life is more fluid than you've been led to believe. From a spiritual perspective, this makes perfect sense. You are not just a body. You are consciousness. And consciousness is not bound by space and time. It's like a light that can shine into any corner of the multiverse. Wherever you place your awareness, that's where your experience flows. The body is your anchor to this current reality. But your consciousness is the navigator, capable of turning the wheel toward a different shore. And here's the key. You don't create these realities from nothing. They already exist. This means that the version of you living the life you dream about is already out there, making those choices, feeling those emotions, inhabiting that reality. When you align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with that version, you're not forcing the universe to produce it. You're simply shifting your awareness to the frequency where it's already happening. Think about this in terms of identity. If in another reality there's a version of you who wakes up joyful, confident, and deeply fulfilled, then in this reality, you can begin embodying the mindset and habits of that version now. As you do, you start to experience more of what that version experiences. Not because you're forcing it into existence, but because you're tuning yourself to its frequency. The radio station doesn't start playing when you turn the dial. It was playing all along. One of the most powerful implications of this is that change doesn't have to take years. In a single moment of clarity, you can shift from one version of yourself to another. This is why people sometimes experience sudden, life-altering breakthroughs, an instant where their perspective changes so completely that their reality seems to rearrange itself overnight. In truth, they haven't created a new reality from scratch. They've stepped into a version where that transformation was already complete. This is why paying attention to your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs is so critical. These aren't just personal experiences happening inside your head. They are your tuning mechanisms. If you keep focusing on fear, lack, or limitation, you're aligning with versions of reality where those experiences dominate. If you consistently hold thoughts of abundance, possibility, and trust, you align with versions where those qualities are the norm. Right now, I want you to imagine another you, the version living the life you most desire. Picture them in vivid detail. What are they feeling? What's their energy like? What choices have they made? This isn't just a mental exercise. It's a way of momentarily touching that reality, of holding its frequency in your awareness, so you can begin to shift toward it. And remember, you're not becoming that version. You already are them in another reality. The shift is about allowing your awareness to catch up with that truth. This understanding dismantles the old belief that your life is limited by your current circumstances. Those circumstances are just one snapshot, one station, one branch of the tree. At any moment, you can change the station, climb a different branch, sail a new current. The other versions are waiting, not as fantasies, but as fully formed realities in the fabric of existence. If you've ever felt the quiet knowing that you're meant for more, this is why. You're not yearning for something impossible. You're remembering a version of yourself that's already real. And now, with awareness, you can begin the process of moving toward it, not in some distant future, but now in this very moment. Because if reality is an infinite ocean, then you are not a passenger on a single wave. You are the captain, and your awareness is the rudder. Where you direct it determines which shore you will see next. To see how science supports this, we must explore the building blocks of quantum mechanics. We've been speaking about parallel realities, infinite possibilities, and shifting timelines, ideas that sound mystical and for many, almost impossible. But beneath the poetry lies hard science, and it speaks a language that, once understood, changes everything about how you see your life. Three principles form the scientific backbone of this truth: superposition, entanglement, and the observer effect. These aren't fringe theories. They are established phenomena in quantum physics, the most tested and successful scientific framework we've ever had. And together they reveal a universe far stranger and far more empowering than we've been taught to believe. Let's start with superposition. In our everyday world, objects seem to exist in one state at a time. A book is either on the table or it isn't. The light is either on or off. But at the quantum level, the world of subatomic particles, this certainty dissolves. Instead of existing in a single fixed state, particles exist in multiple states simultaneously. They are both here and there, moving and still, alive in many possibilities at once. Physicists describe this as a wave function, a mathematical description that contains every potential outcome a particle could take. Before measurement, a particle isn't undecided, it's in all possible states at once. This isn't speculation. Experiments have confirmed it repeatedly. Only when we measure or observe the particle does it collapse into one specific state. In other words, reality exists as a field of probabilities until something interacts with it and selects one. Why does this matter for your life? Because superposition isn't just about particles in a lab. If the building blocks of reality behave this way, then everything they compose, including your body, your environment, your entire life, emerges from a field of possibilities. You are not walking through a single predetermined reality. You are moving through a landscape where multiple versions already exist, and your interaction with that field, through observation, intention, and choice, determines which one you experience. Now, if superposition describes potential, entanglement describes connection. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance. And for good reason. Entanglement occurs when two or more particles interact in such a way that they become linked. No matter how far apart they are, across a room or across a galaxy, a change in one instantly affects the other. The distance between them doesn't matter. The connection is immediate. This isn't a theoretical quirk. It's been demonstrated countless times. Two entangled photons will mirror each other's behavior, with no detectable signal passing between them. It's as if they are not truly separate, as if space itself doesn't exist between them, in the way we imagine. From a purely scientific view, this means the universe is deeply interconnected at its most fundamental level. From a spiritual perspective, it confirms what ancient traditions have always taught, that we are part of an indivisible whole. You are not isolated. Every choice you make, every shift in your consciousness, ripples outward in ways you cannot see. You are linked to people, places, and events beyond your immediate perception, just as they are linked to you. Entanglement also means that information, the state of something, is not limited by distance or time in the way our everyday experience suggests. The same principle that allows two photons to remain perfectly coordinated across vast distances could, in principle, apply to consciousness itself. When you think of someone and they call moments later, when you feel a sudden pull to act and later discover its perfect timing, you might be experiencing the everyday shadow of this quantum truth. The third principle, the observer effect, ties them all together. In classical physics, observation was seen as passive. You could watch a ball roll down a hill without affecting it. But in quantum physics, observation changes the outcome. When scientists measure which path a particle takes in certain experiments, such as the famous double-slit experiment, the act of measuring alters the result. Without observation, the particle behaves like a wave, exploring multiple possibilities. With observation, it behaves like a particle, choosing a single outcome. This is profound. It means that in the quantum world, reality is not fully formed until it is observed. The universe holds open the doors of possibility until something or someone interacts with it in a way that forces a choice. And here's the leap. If reality at the smallest scale responds to observation, then observation isn't just a human act of looking, it's a fundamental process of reality itself. You, as a conscious observer, are participating in that process every moment of your life. Every thought you focus on, every story you believe, every emotion you sustain is a form of observation. You are constantly measuring the field of possibilities, and in doing so, you collapse it into a lived reality. Consider what this means when combined with superposition and entanglement. Reality begins as a field of infinite possibilities, superposition. Every part of it is interconnected beyond space and time, entanglement. And your consciousness has the power to select and stabilize one version over another, observer effect. This isn't an abstract formula, it's the physics of your life. When you wake up in the morning and immediately replay old worries, you are, in effect, observing the version of reality where those worries remain alive. You are reinforcing its probability. When you envision a desired outcome and immerse yourself in its feeling as if it's already real, you are tuning your observation toward the version where it exists. Over time, as your observation aligns consistently with that version, it becomes the one you inhabit. The skeptic might ask, does this mean my mind can make anything happen instantly? Not exactly. In quantum mechanics, probabilities are influenced by multiple factors: context, conditions, coherence. Similarly, in life, your observations are most powerful when they are consistent, emotionally charged, and free of contradictory focus. A fleeting thought may not move the needle much, but sustained, intentional observation has the power to shift the probabilities in your favor. This is why practices like meditation, visualization, and mindfulness work. They are not just feel-good rituals. They are training grounds for focused observation. When you quiet the noise of random thoughts and hold your attention on what you choose, you are acting as the conscious observer that shapes your reality. The bridge between science and spirituality here is undeniable. Science gives us the mechanics, wave functions, non-local connections, collapse of probabilities. Spirituality gives us the meaning that your life is a co-creation between you and the universe, and that you are never powerless in the face of circumstances. Both speak to the same truth: reality is participatory, and you are one of its participants. Right now, your act of listening to these words is itself an observation. You are collapsing certain ideas into your awareness, shifting probabilities for how you might think, feel, and act tomorrow. In the same way, every interaction you have, every choice you make, is a measurement that influences not just your path, but the web of reality as a whole. This is why the quantum world feels so mysterious. It doesn't just describe what's out there. It mirrors what's happening in here, in your mind and heart. It tells us that the boundary between the observer and the observed is thinner than we imagined, perhaps non-existent. And so the question becomes, if you truly are an active participant in shaping reality, what will you choose to observe? Which version of the world will you reinforce with your attention? Which possibility will you breathe life into? Because if reality changes when observed, then your mind may be the ultimate instrument for selecting which reality you live in. If superposition shows us that reality is a field of possibilities, and the observer effect reveals that observation selects one of those possibilities, then the next question is personal and profound. Who is the observer in your life? The answer is simple: it's you. And more specifically, it's your mind, your awareness, your consciousness. Right now, your mind is acting like the ultimate filter. Out of infinite potential versions of reality, it selects one, and that becomes your lived experience. This selection isn't random. It's based on where your attention goes, what you expect, and the emotional tone you carry through each moment. The mind, in this sense, isn't just a passive witness to life. It's the central mechanism that tunes you into one reality, while tuning out countless others. Think of your mind as a lens. Wherever you point it, that part of reality comes into focus. The rest blurs into the background. Your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions shape the curvature of that lens. A mind curved by fear will focus on danger, scarcity, and limitation. A mind shaped by trust will focus on opportunity, connection, and possibility. In both cases, the rest of reality is still there. But you won't see it until you adjust the lens. From a neuroscience perspective, this is tied to something called the reticular activating system, a network in your brainstem that filters information. Every second, you're bombarded by millions of sensory inputs. Your mind can't process them all. So the reticular activating system decides what gets through. And what's its main filter? Whatever you deem important. This means that your internal focus, the thoughts and images you dwell on, directly determines what you notice, and in effect what you experience as real. Spiritually, this aligns perfectly with the idea that your inner world creates your outer world. When you give your attention to something consistently, you're not just noticing more of it, you're resonating with it, and in the quantum sense, you're aligning with the version of reality where that thing is dominant. The key here is understanding that awareness is not neutral. It's creative. Every moment you spend imagining a problem, replaying a hurt, or worrying about a future event, is a moment spent reinforcing a version of reality where those outcomes exist. Conversely, every moment you spend envisioning the life you want, feeling gratitude for it as if it's already here, is a moment spent tuning into the version of reality where it is. This is why intention matters so much. Your mind is constantly selecting a reality, whether you're aware of it or not. Most people live in a state of unconscious selection, defaulting to the same thought patterns day after day, and thus inhabiting the same version of reality again and again. But the moment you bring awareness to this process, you step into conscious selection, and that changes everything. Let's make this real. Imagine waking up tomorrow and before doing anything else setting a clear mental and emotional tone for your day. You decide, today I choose the reality where I feel grounded, creative, and open to opportunity. You picture yourself moving through the day with that energy. You imagine conversations flowing easily, inspiration arriving naturally, challenges resolving smoothly. As you hold that in your mind, you're not just hoping for it. You're aligning your awareness with the version of reality where it's already true. Neuroscience will tell you that this primes your brain to notice opportunities that match your intention. Quantum physics will tell you that you're collapsing possibilities into the one you've chosen. Spirituality will tell you that you're stepping into vibrational alignment with your desired outcome. 3 languages, 1 truth. Your mind is the bridge between possibility and experience. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to choose a reality with their thoughts, while their emotions remain anchored in an old one. This creates a split signal. Your mind says, I want abundance, but your feelings are tuned to scarcity. Your mind says, I choose love, but your body still vibrates with fear. In this state, the selection wavers, and the old reality persists. To truly select a new reality, thought and feeling must work together. This is what alignment means. Holding the picture in your mind while embodying its emotional state in your body. When both align, the signal you send into the field of possibilities becomes coherent, strong, and consistent. And the more consistent the signal, the more that version of reality solidifies. This is why practices like gratitude, visualization, and meditation are so powerful. Gratitude tunes your emotions to abundance. Visualization focuses your thoughts on the version you choose. Meditation clears the static, allowing you to hold the signal without interference. Each is a way of training your mind to select consciously and consistently. I want you to try something right now. A brief exercise to experience this. Close your eyes for a moment and think of a version of yourself living your ideal life. See where you are, feel what you feel. Notice the small details, the sounds, the scents, the expressions on your face. Now shift from imagining you in the future to feeling that it's happening now. In this moment, in this room, let that feeling fill your body. What you've just done is momentarily tuned your mind and emotions to a specific version of reality. The more often you return to that frequency, the more natural it becomes to live there. Eventually, it stops feeling like visualization and starts feeling like truth. And that's when the shift happens. Understand this. The field of possibilities doesn't reward worthiness or punish doubt. It simply responds to the signal you sustain. If you send the same signal long enough, it will become the reality you walk through. This is not magic. It's mechanics. It's the interplay of consciousness and probability. And perhaps the most empowering part? You can begin this shift at any moment, even now. Even if you've been unconsciously selecting realities you don't want for years. The moment you bring awareness to the process, you reclaim the wheel. You can change the selection. You can change the experience. So let this become your quiet mantra. I am not a passenger in this life. I am the selector. I am the observer. I am the one who chooses. Because once you own that truth, you'll never again see your mind as something that simply reacts to reality. You'll see it for what it truly is, the most powerful instrument in the universe for shaping it. Once you know your mind can select reality, the next step is learning how to shift between them. If your mind is the selector of reality, then the next revelation is both thrilling and life-changing. You can consciously change the selection. You can shift timelines, moving from one version of reality to another through deliberate choice. This isn't just a poetic metaphor. In the quantum sense, timelines are simply different sequences of events within the infinite field of possibilities. And you, through your awareness, can navigate between them. A timeline is more than just a path forward. It's a pattern of experiences, relationships, opportunities, and challenges, all woven together by the frequency you hold. Imagine your life as a vast network of roads, all stretching out from this very moment. Some are familiar, the ones you've walked before, guided by old habits and beliefs. Others are new, shimmering with possibilities you've barely dared to imagine. Every choice you make is like stepping onto a different road. But here's the secret. You don't have to physically wait for the road to appear in front of you. You can choose the road now, through alignment of thought, emotion, and action. And the reality that matches it will begin to unfold. This is what it means to shift timelines consciously. The first step is clarity. You must know where you want to go. Vague intentions lead to vague realities. If you say, I want a better life, the field of possibilities offers you countless versions of better, some of which might not match your deepest desires. But if you define it clearly, I choose the reality where I am healthy, creative, financially free, and deeply connected to people I love, you give your mind a precise frequency to tune into. Once clarity is set, the second step is emotional alignment. This is where most people hesitate. They hold the image of their desired reality, but keep feeling the emotions of their current one. They imagine abundance but feel lack. They picture love but feel loneliness. The emotional state is the engine that drives the shift. If your emotions remain in the old timeline, your awareness stays anchored there. This is why feeling is more powerful than thought alone. The moment you can generate the emotional state of your chosen reality before it physically arrives, you've begun shifting toward it. In quantum terms, you're matching the frequency of the desired probability. In spiritual terms, you're embodying the energy of your future self. The third step is belief reprogramming. Your current beliefs act like gravitational anchors, holding you to your present timeline. If you want to move, you must loosen those anchors. This doesn't happen by force. It happens by gently introducing new evidence to your mind. Proof, however small, that the reality you choose is possible. This could be noticing synchronicities, celebrating small wins, or surrounding yourself with people who embody the reality you want. Each moment of proof rewrites the subconscious patterns that determine your default selection. The fourth step is consistent action. This is where the shift solidifies. Action sends a powerful message to your subconscious. I am living in this reality now. If your chosen timeline is one of vibrant health, your actions, eating nourishing food, moving your body, resting deeply, must align with it. If it's one of creative freedom, you must create consistently. Action doesn't earn you the new reality. It reinforces the signal you're sending to the field. Now, let's address a common misconception. Shifting timelines isn't about escaping your current life or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about recognizing that even within your current circumstances, countless versions of what happens next are available. You don't have to wait for the perfect conditions. You shift by embodying the new version of yourself now, even before the outer world reflects it. Here's a practical way to start. Choose a small, everyday scenario and consciously shift it. Let's say you normally approach your morning commute with stress and frustration. Instead, before leaving, pause. Breathe. Choose the reality where your commute is peaceful, where you notice beauty in the small details, where you arrive feeling energized. As you move through the commute with that awareness, you may notice subtle changes, different interactions, unexpected ease, moments of joy you usually miss. This is a micro shift. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes to apply the same principle to bigger areas of life. Affirmations are another powerful tool here. They're not just words, they're declarations to the field of possibilities. When you say, "I am choosing the reality that serves my highest good," you're not hoping for it. You're making a selection. Repeating it reinforces your focus, keeping your attention anchored to the chosen frequency. The more often you say it with genuine feeling, the more you align thought, emotion, and action in the same direction. You may wonder, how long does it take to shift? The answer varies. Some shifts feel instantaneous. A single decision, a sudden insight, a chance encounter can move you dramatically. Others unfold gradually, as you consistently embody the chosen reality, until the old one simply falls away. The speed matters less than the certainty that the shift is happening the moment you choose it. Skeptics will ask, isn't this just positive thinking? But the difference is this. Positive thinking hopes for change. Conscious timeline shifting embodies the change now, knowing the outer reality will reorganize to match. It's not about ignoring problems. It's about choosing the perspective and actions that belong to the version of you who has already moved beyond them. Over time, you'll notice something remarkable. The more you practice conscious shifting, the more your life becomes a series of deliberate creations, rather than random reactions. You begin to trust the process. Synchronicities increase. Opportunities appear. Old limitations dissolve. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to feel a sense of agency over your life that no external circumstance can take away. Right now, take a deep breath and say it with me. I am choosing the reality that serves my highest good. Say it again, slower, feeling each word. I am choosing the reality that serves my highest good. And one more time with certainty. I am choosing the reality that serves my highest good. Let this affirmation become a compass. Whenever you feel lost, confused, or overwhelmed, return to it. It will remind you that no matter where you are, there's always another road, another version, another timeline waiting for you to step into it. And science doesn't just support this in theory. There's real-world evidence that will leave you in awe. It's one thing to talk about multiple realities and shifting timelines as ideas. It's another to see the evidence, the experiments and discoveries that reveal these principles in action. While spirituality has long taught that consciousness shapes reality, modern science has given us striking demonstrations that this isn't just belief. It's observable, measurable, repeatable. Let's start with the double-slit experiment, the cornerstone of quantum physics. When scientists fired tiny particles like electrons through two slits toward a screen, they expected them to behave like little bullets, creating two clear lines. But when no one observed which slit the electrons passed through, They acted like waves, interfering with themselves and creating a complex pattern, as if each particle went through both slits at once. However, the moment scientists set up a detector to observe the path, the interference pattern vanished. The particles acted like solid objects, choosing one slit or the other. What changed? The act of observation. The electrons shifted from a state of multiple possibilities to a single outcome, the moment they were measured. This is not philosophy, this is physics, and it suggests that reality doesn't fully decide until it's observed. Another remarkable example comes from quantum eraser experiments. These take the double-slit setup further, showing that even when information about the particle's path is erased after they've passed through the slits, the interference pattern can reappear, as if the universe retroactively decides the outcome based on what is ultimately observed. This blurs the line between past and present, hinting that time, like reality itself, may be far more fluid than we think. Then there's the phenomenon of quantum entanglement, which we explored earlier. In countless experiments, entangled particles respond to changes in each other instantly, no matter the distance between them. Einstein himself struggled with this, calling it spooky action at a distance. But it's been confirmed repeatedly, most recently in large-scale experiments closing every known loophole. These results suggest that space is not the barrier we believe it to be, and that connection exists at a level beyond our physical senses. While these experiments happen at the subatomic scale, their implications reach into our everyday lives. If particles, the building blocks of everything, can exist in multiple states, shift outcomes based on observation, and remain connected across vast distances, why wouldn't those principles also apply to the reality we live in? We also see intriguing evidence in studies of placebo effects. In medical research, people who believe they're receiving treatment often show real physiological improvements, even when the treatment is inactive. This isn't just about optimism. Measurable changes occur in the body, from pain reduction to altered brain activity, simply because the mind expects a certain outcome. This is the observer effect at the scale of human experience, belief influencing reality. There's also emerging research on conscious intention and random systems. Institutions like the Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab spent decades testing whether human thought could influence devices called random event generators. These machines produce unpredictable sequences, like electronic coin flips. Over millions of trials, small but statistically significant deviations were observed when people focused on influencing the outcome. While subtle, the results challenge the notion that consciousness is separate from the physical world. And then there's the everyday evidence, the synchronicities, coincidences, and sudden shifts we've all experienced. You think about someone you haven't spoken to in years, and they call you that day. You feel a strong pull to take a different route home, and discover you've avoided a major traffic jam. These moments may seem random, but when viewed through the lens of quantum possibility, they could be signs of tiny, continuous shifts between timelines, your awareness and choices aligning you with specific outcomes. Skeptics might argue that these examples are interesting, but don't prove multiple realities in the literal sense. And they're right. Science has not yet built an instrument that photographs alternate versions of you living different lives. But the evidence we do have, from quantum physics to human experience, consistently points toward a reality that is participatory, interconnected, and full of uncollapsed potential. If you take these findings seriously, they challenge one of the deepest assumptions we've been taught: that reality is fixed, external, and independent of us. Instead, the evidence hints that reality is flexible, responsive, and intertwined with our consciousness. It suggests that your thoughts, emotions, and choices may matter far more than you've been led to believe, not just in shaping how you feel, but in determining which version of events becomes your reality. So the question becomes, if science is showing us that the boundaries between mind and matter are far thinner than we imagined, why not live as if your awareness truly shapes the world you walk through? Why not consciously align yourself with the reality you most want to experience? Because understanding this isn't just about curiosity, it's about embracing your identity as a multidimensional being. Up until now, you've been exploring this truth from the outside, learning the science, the principles and the mechanics of multiple realities. But now it's time to step into it. To not just know about it, but to live it, because you are not a single fixed self, trapped in a single fixed timeline. You are a multidimensional being, already existing across infinite versions of yourself, with the power to move between them. Living as a multidimensional being begins with a shift in identity. You are no longer just someone trying to improve their life. You are awareness itself, the consciousness that observes, selects, and experiences. You are the one standing in the center of a vast web of realities, with threads stretching out in every direction. The life you're living right now is the thread you're holding, but in every moment you can choose to reach for another. When you truly understand this, everyday life changes. Decisions stop feeling like isolated events. You see them for what they are. Frequency-setting moments. The way you respond to a challenge. The way you greet a stranger. The way you think about yourself before falling asleep. Each is a subtle act of selection. You are constantly tuning to the version of you you'll meet tomorrow. To live in this awareness, you begin aligning with the energy of the reality you want, not just the idea of it. This means feeling the emotions of that reality now, speaking as if it's already true, and making choices from that state. It's not about pretending, it's about embodying. If you desire a reality where you are confident and free, you don't wait for external proof before feeling that way. You generate the feeling first. You wear it like a second skin until it becomes natural. Practical application becomes a daily rhythm. You wake up and choose, which version of me will live today? You carry that version into your actions, into your work, your relationships, your creativity. And when old habits pull you toward an undesired reality, you notice, and you shift back. At first it feels like conscious effort. Over time, it becomes second nature. Living this way also changes how you relate to challenges. In the old paradigm, problems are roadblocks. In the multidimensional paradigm, they're portals, invitations to step into a version of yourself who already knows how to navigate them. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, who can I become through this? You'll also notice an increase in synchronicities. Those perfectly timed events that seem too precise to be random. That's not magic. That's the alignment between your inner state and the version of reality you've chosen. The more you live in that alignment, the more your outer world begins to mirror it. And here's the most liberating part. You stop fearing change. You stop clinging to one version of life, as if it's all you have. Because you know in the deepest way possible that there is always another thread to take hold of. Always another version of you waiting with open hands. This isn't about becoming superhuman in the way movies portray it. It's about remembering what being human truly means. That your consciousness is vast. That your reality is fluid. And that your power lies not in controlling everything, but in choosing where to stand in the infinite field. So I'll ask you now, if you knew you were infinite, how would you live differently starting today? Would you speak more boldly, love more openly, release the patterns that no longer serve you? Would you stop delaying your dreams because you understand that the version of you who has already achieved them is calling you forward right now? Living as a multidimensional being is not a future goal, it's a present choice. And you can make that choice in this moment. Feel it in your body, anchor it in your mind, and let every breath you take from here be a step along the timeline you choose. Because now, the choice is yours, and the moment to step into your chosen reality is here. You are the creator, you are the chooser, you are the reality. Every moment is a doorway, and right now, you're standing before one. On the other side is the version of your life you've always felt calling to you. Step into it. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Let this be the moment you choose. With clarity, live with alignment, and act with courage. If these words have awakened something in you, subscribe and join this journey. The timelines are infinite. Your power is real, and your transformation has already begun.